iNurture present.
Virtual Roundtable Discussion. Powered by EduVoice.
The topic for today's discussion is making quality education affordable and accessible through innovative solutions. Let's get started.
So let me invite our first speaker for this event, Professor Rakesh Kumar Mudgal. So Professor Rakesh Kumar Mudgal, sir, we welcome you, sir, on board today, the current Vice Chancellor of D.Y. Patil Education Society, Kolhapur. Professor Rakesh is renowned educator in the field of manufacturing technology, operations and supply chain management, and a passionate academy administrator. His multidisciplinary background supports his teaching, research, and team building goals that enable him to make a seminal contribution in academia throughout a career of 35 plus years. Professor Rakesh, sir, it's very pleasure to have you today. So thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much.
Our second speaker for today is Dr. Pramod Kumar Naik, sir, the Vice Chancellor of AISECT University, Jharkhand, with 30 years of teaching experience in different colleges in universities across Orissa, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand. He has published 11 books on various topics such as advanced education psychology, teacher effectiveness and research methodology, including 125 papers in renowned national and international, and editing the book Teacher Education. Professor Pramod, sir, it's wonderful to invite you today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So our third speaker for today is Professor B.A. Satyanarayana, sir, the Vice Chancellor of C.V. Raman Global University, Bhubaneswar, with a PhD from Cambridge University and has 37 years as an academician. Establishing himself as an innovator, strategic and transformational change leader, institution builder, mentor, and a communicator, Professor Satyanarayana, sir, has created a novel pedagogy for NEP 2022, linking skill and knowledge. Professor B.A. Satyanarayana, sir, we welcome you today on board. Thanks for joining us. Sir is there, I guess.
Yeah, I am there.
Is there? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, is there.
Good morning. Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So our fourth speaker for today's discussion is Dr. M. Goel, former Vice Chancellor of StarX University, Gurugram, and a current founder of Nidonomics School of Thought. He has been an academician for the past 37 years in various universities and colleges across the country. He is an orator, researcher, guide, and a prolific writer with experience in educational governance for 17 years in the state, center, and private sectors. Professor Goel has published 457 publications to his credit, including 5 books, a monograph, numerous journal, research papers, and a print media articles. Welcome, sir, on board today.
Thank you, Varkaji. Thank you, Varkaji. Thank you.
So our fifth speaker for today's discussion is the acting president of Shri Padampat, Singhania University, Professor Shrihari, sir, who has an educator with experience of 31 years in the education sector. As an academic, Professor Honwad has experience working in both dimensions of education. That is, working as an educator and holding important position in education, such as head of department, vice principal, and principal. Professor Honwad has previously held the responsibility of provost for MIT World Peace of University, and also published with a great enthusiasm in various renowned international journals and organizing funded research projects. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Barkha.
Yes, sir. So, the sixth speaker and the moderator for today's discussion is Dr. Sujay Nair, sir. So he is the President and Chief Product Officer at iNurture Education Pvt. Limited. Welcome, sir, on board.
Thank you. Thank you, Barka.
Yes, sir.
Right. Really lovely to be here. First of all, amidst an august audience, especially very renowned and academically oriented. Let me give you a quick introduction. I'm an academician. I have no idea why I'm called Chief Product Officer and all of that, but at heart, I'm an academician, and I enjoy teaching more than anything else. Right. That is why, of course, I'm very, very keen on interacting with all of you, very, very august audience. And thank you so much, Rishabh, for setting this up, and Barka for introducing all of us together. Let me very quickly give you a little introduction to why this topic is very important, and very, very frankly, let me also give you the ideology behind doing this, is to understand from you that what does it take for our country to improve the quality of education, right? That's point number one. What does it take to spread quality education to the masses in India? Obviously, a lot of reports on gross enrollment ratios and all that, and there is a very, very strong push towards increasing the GERs in our country. How can we make this quality education affordable and accessible to a lot more people, and we'll have more skilled professionals out of the workforce in India? That is the objective. And the idea to have all of you is to understand from you, from your perspective, what happens either in your university or your ideologies, how we can make this happen. And probably that will give a lot of push to create such an ecosystem that we can bring together and achieve this objective. That was the main idea. What I'll do is, if we can share your thoughts for a few minutes, everyone, I will request Dr. Rakesh Mudgal, Sir, DY Patil University. Sir, I'm very, very honored to be part of DY Patil family as well. I'm a member of the Ajinkya DY Patil Academic Council. I am on their vision team of the Ajinkya Patil, and Dada has called me multiple times to meet him in Bombay. I've had the pleasure of meeting him 2-3 times. Although he has called me to join him many times and I have not joined him at DY Patil, he holds that grudge against me anyway.
That's good. He's a visionary. He's really a person who's inspired each one of us in here, and type of environment and the empire he has created in educational space is really phenomenal. With the seven universities at command and 150 education institution, total industry and whatnot, power sector, cooperative.
And always number 1, 2, 3 in health education, sir.
Yes, that is. Yes. Out of these 3, there are 3 health university, health sciences university, and 4 are non-health sciences university.
Non-health sciences, yes. But, over to you, sir.
Anyway, right. Thank you so much. And I'll start from the basic challenge of the quality aspect, going to the relation with education, and then the affordability and accessibility, and of course, what innovation we can bring about so that we can make the quality as an essential parameter, which is a defining element in growth and development as such. And Professor Goel is here, is a leading economist. He must be able to appreciate there's a growth and development are not synonyms. We have to understand that from education perspective also. When it comes to quality, there are 2 schools of thoughts which we have to bear in mind so that we are able to understand the nitty-gritty of the quality as such, because quality is a very generic term. When it comes to product, it is something different. When it comes to services, it's different. When it comes to education, it's something. It is nation something. It is a society something, because it's so generic in term. There are 2 specific school of thought which talks about quality. One is the management school of thought. It basically talks about quality as compared to some standard, laid down standard. And another is a quality based on the satisfaction of the requirement of the customer, who is the end user and the person making a decision to acquire either the product or the service, right? Yeah. And there's the most important aspect which more relates to education is the developmental school of thought on quality. That whatever initiative or whatever endeavor we take or whatever activity we go in for, whatever policy we design for, basically is it going to take us in the direction of development, where it comes a very simple equation. Development is equal to growth plus change. It means whatever initiative we are bringing about, are they able to affect that change, ultimately leading to an impact we are basically aiming at. People normally stop that, yes, there is input, there's a system which we call as a process, converting those inputs into desirable output for certain outcome. But ultimately, outcome must culminate into the impact. And we most of the time we stop at output itself, and some of the institution, individual or systems or organization are able to migrate to a level of outcome. But normally now we are talking about outcome-based education, but that outcome must lead to the desired impact. And here comes the role of affordability and accessibility. I'll touch upon the accessibility first, how we are able to reach the unreached. That's the something very, very important, because quality sitting in Delhi and talking about, say, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and quality sitting in Meghalaya and talking about medical education is entirely different. People have to understand their affordability and accessibility is entirely different. There could be enablers which we as educators have to identify. We need to really take that particular initiative in a proactive manner so that we are able to create all those ecosystems what Dr. Sujay Nair was just mentioning about. It's very, very important, because everything grows into ecosystem. Like this is a rainy season in the entire country. Nobody is basically putting seed into the soil, which is so blooming now or growing. Those seeds of the potential in human analogy are already available in people, as defined by what we call a great saint, Swami Vivekananda, that education is a manifestation of excellence already exists in man. Same way, soil is there, seeds are there, they are looking for blossoming for a particular ecosystem, and that ecosystem has got a physical aspect, and that is it. Now the digital aspect also in education. Teachers, thought, and technology, they come together, and from there it starts the innovation. Innovation basically comes from the people only. Innovation, tools, techniques, and machines could be something, the instrument of it, but ultimately in the center of every innovation. Innovation is not something only talking about designing a rocket. Innovation is improving upon the current state of things to the desirable state of things, bridging the gap either by modifying process, changing policies, changing the skill set of the people, or whatever is needed to get the results. Because people think that problems are very, very big. Problems are not big. Only the identification of problem is big. Solutions are always simple. Like people say that we don't have access to good writing notebook. I've seen in some of the things, I will not name that what are the organizations they are doing it, because that basically promotes them in a platform which is a public platform right now. But people are using the sand to train students on sketching, writing, drawing, making a play field. Papers are not there, pencils are not there, Parker pen is not there, even jet pens are not there. So many things are not there, because technological issues are very, very simple. They are very simple things. Technology is not only using the computer or internet. Technology is how we are able to do things by using the tools and techniques of doing. It is something more of a how, not of what and how. Right. Then there are another issue. Education from a perspective of delivering has become certainly complex because of the varied needs of the stakeholders as such. But ultimately what makes or breaks the organization is the people. Are we able to connect the technology for the requirement of parts through a what we will see concept, which basically over a period of working with the education sector have evolved. Most of the time we talk about that as the content, means the curriculum content part. Content has to be in context of something. Like we are sitting in a Maharashtra belt where the sugar is there. Can we talk about using sugar as a product to create energy, to save environment, to have multi-cropping system, to have a modern whatever technique of increasing yield without compromising the quality of the soil? Because ultimately everything from the soil. If the soil is not good, we will be extracting something much more than it can recreate itself. Content has to be connected with the context, ultimately for what? To create the competency within the system of individuals or collectively in a particular discipline or domain of learning, and ultimately leading to the desired contribution, what essentially is needed, right? These are some of the things. When it comes to affordability, it will remain the relative type of thing. Here, what we have basically tried here, that we have a Gargoti is something around 60 kilometers off here, that is totally a rural setting. What we are, anything which we are good at this location, we are basically transferring that knowledge, techniques, pedagogy, schemes, or tools and techniques there so that they are able to reap the benefit. But they are good in rural technology or reaching to the larger masses. then whatever they are good at, they have done what we call as the best in breed. If they have done something good there, we try to translate and implement into our type of system, because ultimately techniques are available. Only the what we call winning differentiation could be brought about how well we are able to implement those aspects into the things. Another aspect what we have successfully blended, that we keep certain element of flexibility into the design curriculum, so that we are able to shuttle and align our content and delivery mechanism in the context of changing circumstances, as we have seen into the COVID pandemic as such. How we quickly use only tool available with was two. There was one WhatsApp. Second was we were subscribing to the institutional membership of Microsoft Teams. These are the two tools we exclusively use to create content in our own media room, and we were able to really sail through with certain amount of pain and suffering, but we are able to really come to the desired outcome. Here, we basically kept 4 P's into our focus: the perspective in which we are operating, with the practices we have to evolve, so that we are able to really perform the way we are supposed to. And the people were really trained to be passionate about scaling this particular challenge, either creating by the dedicated COVID hospital. Our hospital was converted into that, and within a record time, we were able to meet the contextual requirement of pandemic, and within 6 weeks of spread and lockdown, we were able to establish our COVID testing lab and other things, and oxygen generating and whatnot. Things were there. And of course, we try to take pride in what we do, and we try to really seek that people should be able to really do whatever they are thinking. Of course, funding is very, very important. There's nothing money makes the mayor go. But we cannot always say that yes, always funding is needed. There are solutions, there are innovations available, there are techniques available. With bare minimum fund, things can be delivered if we really take pride in what we wish to do, what we have delivered. These are some of the thoughts initially I thought I must be.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I really liked when you said, the difference between output and outcome. So important. We'll circle back to you as well, sir. I will request Dr. Pramod Naik. Pramod, sir.
Yes, I am hearing.
Share a minute of your thoughts on the topic, sir.
Thank you, Sujay. First of all, I would like to thank the team members of iNurture and the EduVoice for arranging such type of events and providing platform of all the academicians to discuss with each other about the higher education. I agreed with Rakesh sir, but my point is slightly different because what I thought about the quality education, definitely it is a generic term, but till date nobody will able to define what is quality. And what is quality? What is the real, what should be put or injected that we can able to produce the quality students, teacher quality? No such type of yardstick is there. But being an educationist, my point of view is that quality must be related with the productivity. If our education is able to produce such type of scholar, such type of students, and that students when go back to the society, when that students able to produce some things, contribute some things to the societies, and that is quality education. But what the actual scenario nowadays is that only for getting the job, now we are earning the degrees and the degrees. Now whenever you can pick any students, you can pick any students, he must have 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, 2, 3, 4 master degrees he have. But what is the use of that degree? If that degree is not useful for the societies, what is the means of the degrees? What we are doing? We are totally away from the skilled education, totally away from the practicability, totally away from the productivity, and our education system is purely professionalism nowadays. This is, I think, this is the most important causes of degrading the education systems of our country. And because we are talking about the quality education, we are talking about the affordability, we are talking about the accessibility. Now there are such educational institutions. Now you know better. I am openly discussing with, because this is a platform, this is a forum, and I have the right to speak what I feel. Because there are a number of organizations, number of institutions. Now they are charging the happy amount of money. This is quite impossible on the part of the parents to bear such amount for having that degree. So what is quality? And where is quality? How to get quality? What should be the role and responsibility of the government to provide the quality education? Definitely, everybody knows, sir. Everybody knows that from the very beginning, we are talking about that our curriculum is not suitable as far the Indian climate is concerned. Our education system is such type that we are claiming the students or demanding the students that we expect 10 to 10 CGPA from you. Then if you have giving the stamp that one student at the 12th level getting the 10 to 10 CGPA means he is perfect. He is perfect. The output must be perfect. But why he or she failure in the next higher education level? Why? So definitely our evaluation systems, our assessment procedures is definitely lagging behind. There is something wrong. We are doing something wrong with the assessment system that need to change. And I think when I go through the NEP 2020, then I found some changes are there. And some points are focusing. That the students means the so to say in our business language, the output of the educational organization must be productive. And he is able to apply his knowledge to earn something. It means, being an educationist, if I say that is when he learn, then he is able to earn. And when the child is able to earn, then I think that is quality. That is quality education. Because he is not only earning, simultaneously he is contributing in the economic development, contributing for the all kinds of development of the societies. Because the new education policy giving much more stress upon the learning by doing. It means skilled education. But you know, there are number of things we are listening that now the corruption is there in the educational system. In higher education, corruption is there. In higher education, the political influence is there. Number of political interference is there. Now this is the common things. This is the common thing we are listening. We are always listening. Our education system, our students, I am not blaming the students because the Indian students are more knowledgeable. But from my point of view, they are not intelligent. Though they are knowledgeable, they are not intelligent because at the ground level, at the field level, now they are knowledge. Almost all the vice chancellor are sitting here, everybody knows campus placement is there. And whenever coming to the campus placement, now they are claiming that yes, you have knowledge, but you are not, still 6-month training is required. Why? This is what I observe in my life. So that need to be changed, and that thing is in innovative solution does not mean that we are always using the science and technology to improvise the quality in education. We can, without that also we can provide the quality. We can provide the quality to our students, because almost already Rakesh sir has told that now there are such institutions, they are sitting in the far away from the urban areas. Now still we are not expecting that tower is there. They are facing a lot of problems during pandemics. Now we might have that is experience all these problems. So that is, but so far as my university is concerned, I am trying, being a vice chancellor, I am trying to introduce that is the innovative pedagogy. All the teachers should not follow the traditional teachings. Yes, the teaching methodology should be interesting, and when it becomes the interesting, now it captures their minds. It captures the mind of the students. Now, beside this side by side, because we have to go with the markets level, then e-content, our faculties, they are preparing the e-content and uploaded in our website also for the easy accessibility of our students. So I think we all are, not I am, but all the educational institutions, they are trying their best to provide the good educations, quality educations to their students. But still, I think the education must be related with the productivity. The education should not be professional, it should be productivity. So far as my point of view is concerned, and because different has different views, different suggestions, and it should be checked, and we give it importance upon the holistic education in one sentence, because only the solution is the holistic education. It's improved the quality, and when it becomes, then automatically quality should be maintained. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to sharing my views. This is my views and about the quality in higher education. Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Pramod sir. Thank you so much. Really, the question of quality versus cost is definitely something which we'll take it up in a few minutes. But let me also circle back to that after we have Professor Dr. Satyanarayana, sir, to share your thoughts, please.
Once again, thanks to EduVoice and our other partners for having us on this board and an opportunity to listen to all experts. And I think this is a very important choice. And let us just look at some numbers before we talk of why we are talking of quality education, affordable education, and accessibility. I'm sure we all know from the last 10th education plan, the government has been talking about education policy and the 4 E's of education in terms of equity, enrollment, employability, and excellence. We have been talking about it for a long time. And all the policies and the NEP is supposed to enable that. But by 2050, 2 billion more children globally are coming into education. And again, people even in the job, because they need to have ups. I mean, we have the whole education 4.0 is about ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So we are going to have a huge set of even people in jobs needing re-education, upskilling, reskilling, and all of that. And above all, looking at Indian context, the current, because we have a huge young generation, I mean, the demographic dividend from the current 40 million higher education. I'm not even talking of lower education. Already we have 300 million people in education from school to higher education. The 300 million is going to become 600 to 700 million depending on how it pans out. And that means over 100 million coming into higher education. And if you think current role models of, say, some of the new private institutions and having top end fee alone becoming successful as a role model, that's completely unviable. So whether I'm private or public, the very fact that education is called a service and it is not called still a business, though I might call my student as a stakeholder, nobody is ever challenging me for my quality of assessment, quality of grading. It is not, because it's still a service and everybody knows it is subsidized, whether it is in private or public. But then is it enough? How do we enhance and deliver better quality is the question I believe we are discussing now. Delivering quality, excellent education with, employability built in. Employability ideally should be a byproduct and not the product of education, and it has to be excellence as a product. And that is where the new education policy, when it says we are moving towards universities rather than, or degree giving organizations rather than affiliated colleges, is that I will have the autonomy to do that. So I believe any policy we discuss now has to, sorry for putting this framework in my context, hopefully it makes some sense. Without putting this, talking of any education excellence and accessibility, especially with higher education people sitting here, is, I think, meaningless. And therefore, the way we have to move is move from the to know to do education. And to move from to know to do education, that is where the new education policy, and as also both the earlier Professor Goel and the other professor from AISECT mentioned, see, we need to bring in skill and knowledge together, as national education policy puts it. The skill and the knowledge has to be brought to such a way that makes skill aspirational, because today more jobs are in skill than in degree. All the degree, even for example, a country like South Korea in 2017 came out with an education policy which said to employability first, education next. They said you get employed with skill, and because knowledge is changing so dynamically, knowledge life cycles have reduced drastically, product and process life cycles reducing even faster. So that education has to be linked to that. So that is where now bringing skill and knowledge together, seamlessly linking them with experiential learning, and that experiential learning led competence leading to innovation, research, entrepreneurship, employability by default should happen for everybody is what we want to do. And to do that as a university, I just want to say a few points before I think I give allow others to share their points. We are saying, how do we make this education therefore as much teacher-centric as student-centric? Because I say everything, I put it as student-centric. Then suddenly, and I ask the teacher to do research, innovation, product development, revenue generation, industry engagement. They feel that, see, I am irrelevant. You are putting me in so many things. So I say every assignment, every task, every experiential learning that the teacher has to give should be integrated with the system and design thinking to generate knowledge, information. One is competence to the student, but data for teacher, for consultancy, for research, for product and process development incrementally over a period with system and design thinking. So to do that, we have made sure today we have created 25 centers of advanced centers with world skills as a basis, covering anything from culinary arts to aerospace, agriculture to, apparel or automation, medical to mechatronics, or multimedia. So we have created 25 centers with world skills as a basis, and every year upgrading it. Every one of our students, whether he does a BA, BCom, engineering, BBA, agriculture, doesn't matter, or English literature, would mandatorily, based on a regular program, would get 2 skills mandatory inbuilt into the program. No band-aid, no bridging, because if it is not inherently built with system and design thinking holistically, as my other experts already mentioned, it will be useless. So we have said mandatorily they get that. We, along with in one of these 25 skill centers, which is their choice. And everybody starts in the very first semester with, along with the orientation, a system and design thinking course and a project-based activity, making them understand what is multidisciplinary approach, what is interdisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach by a project-based activity along with system thinking course. So that, and then they do the skill courses. In the higher semester, we are asking the teachers to design multidisciplinary integrated assignments and projects. Teachers sit in a panel and assess them and do more formative assessment than summative assessment to make sure at every stage the learning is happening, and not that simply assessing for to know information of mugged up like a parrot. And therefore, that formative assessment leads to outcomes of the student, and close to 20% now with this formative assessment is experiential learning enabled activity by design. And every activity that the teacher enables, he doesn't have to feel that he is forced, or just that an external, say EdTech company or an industry is brought in to support and he becomes irrelevant. He sees how does he get outcomes out of it, which also becomes relevant to him for research and innovation and his relevance and property, because the industry brings in contextual employability information. But the futuristic research is for the teacher to do, but leverage it and build on it and design development in higher semesters from the experiential learning skills, which is already employable, attained irrespective of the degree, because companies say, I'm happy to get a nano degree skill competence and I will employ, I don't care what your degree is. To make my degree viable for the student to have come and paid or whether free, whatever, we make it affordable, we are making sure then they build design development capability to be an analyst, a researcher, a scientist, an entrepreneur from higher semester courses, again with a multidisciplinary approach. So the whole system has been holistically designed, and plus he can anytime, as per NEP, even in the first semester, if he does an idea and he is successful, he can take off and use one of our 2 incubation center to take up a company. Work for 2 years, come back, and once it is reasonably set, continue his education or even transform from engineering to management or go to higher degree to research and continue his company and take off. So all this we have built as a structure, and above all, because education and accessibility are what we are talking, and not even now, out of the 600 million 20 years from now, even if 100 million come, 500 million are not going to be in regular education. We are already doing 500,000 plus people on various skilling from level 1 and level 2 of the national skill qualification. And we have built a framework that they could join a job, get from lifelong learning enabled online skills, certification, and come for some practical activity and hands-on, and then build them to again degree up to a PhD. So we have leveraged NEP to create systems and processes, and more importantly, partner with industry, and again, not wait even for industry. Again, no disrespect to Indian industry, they don't figure it top 200 in the world, or even top 200 in Asia. in terms of research and innovation. We are great adapters or glorified traders, immediately economic viable solution development, which gives us more job and sustaining us to do more economy to move up. But they are not true innovators long term. And if I'm going to only bring in automation, jobs will only reduce. Whereas if I develop technology from bottom up, from MSME to scaled up industries and more MSME and educators bringing innovation, that is where more opportunities will come. So to make all of this, we therefore feel that this experiential learning, industry engagement, all have to happen seamlessly, and the cost has to be reduced. I mean, the student fee cannot be higher. It has to go lesser and lesser. And like we know that best of the top 100, 200 universities, their education fee cost is say 6 to 7% or maximum 10%. 90% of their cost, about 30, 40% comes from endowment. Another 40% is coming from research consultancy, other external skill certification programs, FDP, MDPs. So how do we build that is what we have built as an infrastructure along with our skill courses to give holistic education as a new 2-year university. I'm sorry for speaking continuously and a bit faster, but maybe I have conveyed some essence of how can I, and for example, we are today able to deliver, say, for at least 50 girl students who are orphans. They have literally been brought on, even if they are school dropout, given they stay in the university environment. They have been open education based schooling and then brought into the diploma or ITA, and from there they're brought into engineering or management or nursing or hospitality of their choice. I'm happy to say that in the last 2 years in the skilling program alone, what has happened is we won India's only one gold medal won so far in the 45th National World Skills. And this year, out of the 254 national medals, we won 29 medals. And some of these girls who last time and this time, orphans who have won medals, have been placed with 10 to 15 lakhs jobs in, say, welding to mechatronics and other companies without interview. So I think these are again some models where we can scale it up. From 50, can we go to 2,000 such children who can afford nothing and still give them quality education with skill so that they become global, are some of the random thoughts I want to share. And I think I'll come back later as and when you want me to share some more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very valid points, Dr. Saab. Very, very valid points. I will circle back to you because I have a couple of questions, which I think you will be able to answer very, very well. But I'll move on to, our next speaker. Goel Saab, Dr. M.M. Goel, if you can share your thoughts, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. In fact, I was traveling from Belgavi to Goa just now, and I reached in one office of Lokmanya Multipurpose Cooperative Society to share my things with you. And I was basically with a Naik peer team as a chairperson and talking of all quality indicators. But let me honestly tell you, being a humble teacher from the family of teachers and known in the country as a needonomist, an economist who talks of needs, I have conceptualized needo education. Needo education means the real education we need today in the country, and I call it 3P and 3H, that is proper, productive, and practical use of hands, head, and heart. In this context, let me draw your kind attention to the National Education Policy 2020, in which we are claiming that we are doing wonders to ensure quality, holistic kind of education, which may be necessary in the document of 66 pages, developing 27 headings, and from 9 to 17 for higher education. I believe that it may lead to a knowledge economy. It may be necessary, but to my mind, it is not sufficient. Honestly speaking, to make it sufficient, keeping in mind the Sustainable Development Goals 2030, in which 5 of the 17 goals are with quality of education. And I'm sorry to say that we have not bothered about the National Youth Policy 2014 for National Education Policy to take into consideration the involving youth into democracy and governance, which is missing. Let me share with you, being a needonomist, I always believe that there is a trade-off between quality and quantity. If we want to have quality, we have to sacrifice quantity. And if we want to have quantity, we will have to sacrifice quality. But India is a democracy, and keeping in mind that democratic values, we have targeted to increase our gross enrollment ratio. Now the question is, for enhancing the gross enrollment ratio, number of institutions are coming up. We are having public universities, state universities, central universities, private universities, and the government is also thinking of having PPP model, public-private partnership model. Let me honestly tell you, I had the experience of working in a state university, central university, as well as a private university. Private universities, they have excellent infrastructure, but they are not able to utilize it because they don't hire the proper manpower for the quality enhancement. And from that point of view, I have been advocating, why not in certain cases, like although sports has not been talked about in the national education policy as at level, but I have been able to prevail upon the Chief Minister of Haryana that why instead of giving the huge amount of money as a prize to the medalist, why not to go in for giving them jobs as a coaches, so and they can be employed in the private sector. So public-private partnership can be an effective manner to enhance the innovative technique. Yeah. So, brother, I believe that we have to do many things. One more observation I would like to say honestly, that we are careless and useless also. Many of our students are careless and useless, and to ensure quality, the challenge before all the educational stakeholder is how to make them careful and useful. From that point of view, we have to ponder over searching the innovative solutions for quality, affordability, and accessibility of NIDO education at all levels, from primary to higher education level. I believe that for efficiency, sufficiency, equity in the system of higher education, we must link fee structure with user charges with inflation rate based on retail prices, so that high cost recovery be ensured from this. Because government doesn't allow even private sector to go in for enhancing the fee structure. But I have also been able to write very forcefully again and again, let this efficiency, productivity, and equity can be brought by linking up the user charges and fee structure with the inflation rate. I personally believe that we have thought of competing with other universities. I confess as a teacher that when we are having a room for 100 foreign universities to open the shops in this big industry, education service industry, we believe that we are weak. Why we are interested to have these shops, foreign universities here? We may be weak, but we can be unique. And how to increase our uniqueness is my forte, coming from Kurukshetra, which I claim to be the first ever university on the planet, because the objective of a university is to get knowledge. And the best possible knowledge has been given by Lord Krishna himself in the form of Bhagavad Gita. I claim Bhagavad Gita as a ism neutral, religion-free treatise on management, relationship, and management and welfare economics. To move on the ladder of success with morality, opulence, victory, and empowerment, let us believe that Lord Krishna as God and Arjuna as our soul is with us. And in that context, we have to understand Bharat as a knowledge economy. Bha means knowledge, Rat means seeker. But sadly, it is called India in the English dictionaries. Independent nation declared in August. We have to basically think of becoming independent in the real sense. Earlier speakers were talking about that the quality indicator has become placement and employability. And I believe that many of us are careless and useless. So far employment opportunities are concerned, if you look at the employment scenario, presently the employment opportunities are only in marketing. Our IIT products are going in for marketing. I have seen many of the IIT products going in for banking services. Therefore, we are misutilizing it. So in case we want to create employment opportunities to ensure the quality, we have to go in for communication skills. Let me be understood by the entire fraternity here. We may go in for any kind of education program. Until our communication skills are there, we are not employable. Therefore, we have to stress upon language laboratories. Yesterday, I visited one institution. They had a language lab, but it cannot be used as a real language lab where we can improve the communication skills. So all possible efforts should be made in my beloved country to ensure the quality of giving employment orientation to education, which I don't agree practically, personally as a teacher. Because at this cost, I'm an economist, well, we must increase the educational value of education instead of attaching economic value to that. And we have devalued the value of education by attaching economic value to that. Therefore, higher education level, if we talk about the holistic personality development, when we talk of HOTS, higher order thinking skills, creativity and innovativeness and critical thinking, we should forget about the quantity dimension, and we have to ensure quality in that sense. I have come out with even, keeping in mind the dimension that how to create the market for our educational product, which we are producing now in various institutions. Without creating need, it is not possible. And my earlier speaker was telling that our education system need to make it a little cheaper. It's costly, but I believe that to ensure the quality in higher education, we must make it costly. I was in South Korea. I have seen that how people have to work one semester and one semester they have to go in for education. Therefore, to ensure quality education, we should make education a little costlier instead of making it cheaper. But at the same time, when we talk about the gender and this GER ratio to be increased and taking into account the democratic values, we have to bother about it. Yesterday, entire world was celebrating International Yoga Day. But I'm sorry to say that we have not understood what yoga is. In Bhagavad Gita, yoga means summation. Summation means 1 + 1 = 1, meaning thereby all in one, one in all. Therefore, if we go in for this kind of education, if we really want to introduce that yoga into education, the educational value of education to be strengthened, for that we have to adopt spiritual mathematics, not the so-called Vedic mathematics being talked about many of these scholars around the country. So now the time has come that we have to adopt NAW approach to ensure NIDO education, affordability, and worth of it. I have come out with a marketing strategy which I call NAW approach of marketing. First, we must create the need of our product. Whether we want to go in for skill development, what kind of skills we want to have. Yesterday, I saw in one institution, hobby center, and they were just having these sewing machines. I told to them, why not to convert into incubation center as such, so that we can make use of the schemes available in the country, Make in India, Skill India, as well as we go in for self-help groups to make it a most entrepreneurial thing. We need to create NIDO employability and NIDO entrepreneurship. From that, we need such kind of incubation centers. Even the hobby centers can be converted into incubation centers for enhancing the employability and this. And for that, let me honestly tell you, we may have number of ideas in terms of quality indicators, 7 criteria being talked about in the Naik accreditation. But I believe that instead of becoming over smart or stupid smart on unhealthy competition, let us become street smart. We have to adopt this national education policy also. At the same time, we have to understand the quality dimensions and the quantity dimensions are also required in a democracy. And from that point of view, I always talk about that we have to become street smart. Street smart means that we Indians should understand the environment around us. We cannot forego quantity in a democracy. We have to reconcile the issue of quality and quantity, and that can be reconciled only by stressing upon communication skills, which are required in every course to make it employable and to earn their livelihood. So how to become smart is a very important issue, and how to become basically transparent, responsive, action-oriented, moral, and simple. Mahatma Gandhi has been talking of simple living and high thinking, but I always say that simple living and no thinking. No thinking does not mean that we should not think. We should think of those things which are in our control, and we should not think of those things which are not in our control. And that is a message of my Guru Gita also, that we have a right on our actions, not on our results. So national education policy is an indicator with the number of things to go in for quality. But I believe that we have to compete, and competition should be healthy, not unhealthy. In practically, presently, we are creating unnecessarily in the name of quality, unhealthy competition. A grade institution, B grade institution, C grade institution. As a teacher of economics, I always say that if we want to improve the quality, we should give more grants to C grade institutions, less more than the B grade, and B grade institutions should be given more than the A grade. But we are doing it the other way around. How we can bring the efficiency and quality in our educational institution? So we need to understand the concept of need of education, which is a real education for proper, productive, and practical use of hands and heard, and educational values should not be compromised at the cost of attaching economic value to education. Thank you very much for listening. I may not be joining you again and again because I am moving in Goa. Thank you very much.
So we will not disturb you. I know that, the Goa is, like Shrihari sir said, maybe some sites would help us a lot. Thank you so much, Goel Saab. Let me move on to Professor Shrihari. I think he comes with academics as well as, understanding both sides of the education ecosystem. Shrihari sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sujay. It's been a wonderful session. So many people have spoken, and all I can see now is I will probably be, trying and putting the same words or the same ideas using different words. So I will divide it into two parts. One is improve quality of education, and the second is spread it to masses, that is make it affordable for large masses. Improve the quality of education. A lot of people have spoken. In a nutshell, I understand that the quality will improve when the one getting educated is interested in education. That's my simplification of everything everybody has said. He will become an active learner, and he will find material and place where he can get that education, including skill development, whatever else we have spoken so far. I always am reminded of Dr. Mudgal gave a very beautiful this thing of education, a definition of education. I'm sorry. Beautiful definition of education. My definition of education is something that is left after you finish your college. So you come out of a movie, your entire family is there. When you come out, you are thinking, okay, you managed to keep the family together for those 3 hours in just about within less than $1,000. It could have become 2,000 if you had agreed to buy a pizza instead of just the popcorn. That's what you are left with. Your wife is probably left with the kind of dresses the heroine was wearing, and your child is probably left with the kind of fights he saw. This, I say, is what education is. Everybody who leaves college is left with something relevant in which he was interested in, and if he is interested in everything what we say in terms of quality, Professor B.S. Satyanarayana gave a beautiful description, and I don't want to repeat that, of what all needs to be added to a human being to make him useful to the society. See, my definition of creating the education is that these are new members of our society. We need to make sure that they become part of the society. We need to enable them to become part of the society. I had seen a movie long back, Gods Must Be Crazy. I don't know if any of you have seen. The beginning 30 seconds of that movie tells you what education is. They juxtaposition a tribe in Africa next to what's happening in Johannesburg. For a person to become useful in Johannesburg, he needs to be educated for 16 years. The child in Africa needs probably 2 to 3 years of education. I think the more and more complex we have made our society, the quality requirements, outcome requirements are going to increase, and that is why I say leave it to the learner, and the learner will make sure he will find the means. Second is spreading and making it affordable. See, again, Dr. Mudgal, I think, and Professor Goel have shed a lot of importance on making it affordable. There have been multiple ideas. See, these are ideas which have been used in other economic situations. For making it affordable, one of the things which we do is we subsidize. That means the government pays. It's not the government; it's the rich who subsidize it for the poor. The taxpayers who subsidize it for those who need that, and so on and so forth. Somebody will have to pay for good quality education. So, as Professor Goel said, let's not worry about reducing the cost. Of course, we will make sure that the cost is relevant and cost is appropriate. They say an educational institution will have to be run like a business, but you don't make a business out of an educational institution. That quote, whoever I'm plagiarizing from, is very worthwhile in this situation. We need to make sure that we spend, or we make sure somebody spends for that education. Question is, how do I make it affordable? There are multiple ways of doing it. Spoke and hub models for information deliveries. Similarly, skill deliveries also could happen in a spoke and hub model. Those who are interested who can go and migrate. But we have a large number of students who are interested. Unfortunately, most of our students and their parents are interested in getting degrees and not, equipping themselves with the need of the society and making themselves useful. That is where the whole, education model has lost its flavor, lost its way, I must say. So if today, supposing the industry needs a particular type of professionals, what is it doing to get those professionals? I think it must, push back some of these things. Somebody said great institutions, work on the basis of the amount of this thing comes as endowments and the R&D expenditure. Yes, that is one way of bringing it in. The second way is, all right, go back to the academic institutions, start paying for creating your, start paying for growing your own wheat, I must say. That is, create those mechanisms of either scholarships or the ones you find useful, make sure you pay off their loans, educational loans. Make sure education loans become easy. Education loans today are very tricky because a person, after he gets his degree, he may simply disappear from the radar. And it's very difficult to, collect it from that. You look at vehicular loans, you can't disappear from the radar as long as your RC book has that stamp that this is hypothecated. That's something like some mechanism of that has to come in, especially with today all of us going digital on degrees. I'm sure it's possible to link the digital degrees to Aadhaar cards and these financial instruments which need to be made. I mean, we need to make sure that they are easily available for everybody. I'm saying that somebody buys a vehicle, there is no collateral. Vehicle itself is a collateral. When you give educational loan, that human being you have created is the collateral, is your money earning machine. If you want to, is the machine which will return the loans. That, I think, concept will have to come in the rest of the society, so that we make this education affordable for everybody. Everybody who wants to learn. I mean, today we call it Jugaad, but Jugaad is nothing but finding an affordable way of innovation and education. The society will respond to it. But I think if we make those processes easy and accessible, like infrastructure is one of the things which is happening in a big way in India. Making Wi-Fi available will improve the spoke and hub model of, making at least online information available. But there are multiple aspects to the education. I'm sure a couple of our speakers have already spoken about it. The knowledge and the intelligence. I mean, these are very, very clear. I think Dr. Naik spoke about that. They are knowledgeable but not very intelligent. I mean, it's a way of saying that there are those several aspects of the education which we have not been able to fulfill. Even in a classroom, we are not able to fulfill. How are we going to do it in a pseudo classroom, which is the online environment? I think that's going to be a challenge. And we'll have to come out with multiple models. There will be a cost to it. Like Professor Goel said, we must, as a society, we must be willing to pay it. We must find somebody who can pay it. And if that somebody can use it, is also the user of, or who is going to benefit from this education, I'm sure it becomes more and more easy. That's where I start looking at the industry, who are essentially leaders of today's society. I say that because governments are only facilitators. Governments should always be facilitators. Governments do, push as a result of their policies or lack of policies, the entire society into a particular direction. But I'm sure there are more influencers in the form of either industrial or social or socio-economic reformers who will, I mean, what we are doing is, by educating, we are putting more and more people into these roles. Today's education is to create tomorrow's leaders. And if that is so, today's leaders, all the relevant leaders must find a way of financing this engine and making it more efficient, making it more affordable. I don't know how much time I have, and I don't know how much of what I have said is repeat of what everybody else has been saying. But I think all our minds must be by now numb enough. So, Dr. Sujay, I think I should stop here.
Thank you so much, Shrihari sir. Thank you so much. I know there is a paucity of time. What I'll do is I'll summarize. I'll give you a couple of points which I thought was relevant for this discussion. And what I will do is also summarize what everyone said. We have about 40 million students, which is a growth of about 3 to 5%, I guess, YOY. And if you look at on the other side, the educators that we have in our country is about 1.3 million faculty that we have, 13 lakh faculty. And that's a drop from a 15 lakh, 2 years before that. And we're talking about a two-year drop of almost a lakh and a half faculty, or, 2 lakh faculty from this thing. How are we ever going to, bridge this gap unless we, Shrihari sir, you also said, and, I remember even Mudgal Saab said it, even Pramod sir said it, Satyanarayana sir said it. Faculty is going to be a very, very key differentiator. If we cannot empower, enhance the quantity of faculty that we have in our country, how are we ever going to create quality education for our students? That's one very important thing. Even if we have to double the size of number of students in view of increasing or improving the gross enrollment ratios, unless we have innovative solutions, we just cannot. We have no choice but to go for online education. But then online education also requires a lot desirable in terms of quality. And that's where innovative solutions like holographic, virtual labs, etc., if it can be combined as an integrated solution for students, and engaging students not from just an academic perspective, also look at the affective domain, right, and the psychomotor domain all together, I think online education could be an answer to some of this. Let me very quickly, talk about what Rakesh sir said. Very interesting. Rakesh sir was actually talking about output versus outcome. It's very, very important for us to understand the difference between, strategies that we take, the output that is expected, and what is the outcome in terms of, quality of education to students and student outcomes itself. Education is a manifestation of excellence already existing in man, what Swami Vivekananda said, quoted by, Dr. Rakesh. I thought was very, very interesting. And also about, problems. He defined problems saying it's not problems that are big. It is the identification of problem that is big. And I thought that was very, very interesting for us to take home. Delivery of education is getting complex. And this has a lot of, similarity in what even Shrihari sir said. Delivery of education is getting complex due to changing needs of the stakeholders. And Shrihari sir very, very clearly said, enabling students to be a part of the society is going to be very interesting. And more complex the society is, more complex it's going to be for students to actually be enabled. And very, very aptly, the first few minutes of Gods Must Be Crazy actually talks about what happens in Johannesburg, what is required for an actual human being to live in Johannesburg versus, in the jungles of Africa. It's so aptly put and so aptly quoted. Very, very, the perfect anecdote for this is, Gods Must Be Crazy. Thank you so much for that, sir. Rakesh sir also talked about content with context relevance to create competency. I thought that was a great quote from sir. Pramod sir talked about quality and how do you define quality? While we are talking about quality of education, that's fantastic. But how do you actually define quality? What is exactly the meaning of quality? And there is a cost attached, and everybody consistently spoke about the need for understanding that there is a cost attached to cost attached to quality. And we need to understand that. And absolutely, Shrihari sir also said, how are you going to, what strategies are you going to use and ensure that you either reduce the cost or it is covered for, right? Pramod sir also talked about assessment system. I thought was something which is very close to my heart as well. I kind of help a lot of institutions in their NEP implementation, like Goel sir, I also help institutions for their NAC readiness, etc., etc. Assessment is one of the most important things. Unless there is a transformation, substantial transformation as assessments, we'll need to, be okay with the trade-off of having a low quality education system in the country. Connecting quality to outcome, also what Pramod sir said was, I think, very, very important. And I thought was very interesting to quote again. Professor Satyanarayana talked about the 4 E's, very, very interesting skills that sir talked about, the structure that he has created within his university to ensure that the 2-skill strategy works, and directly connecting to what is called outcome, what Pramod sir also said, connecting quality to outcome of students. Satyanarayana sir has just put that in place, having a 2-skill strategy to ensure that there is an employability outcome to students. And Satyanarayana sir talked about faculty, so important, right? Few things which I thought was very important to mention what Satyanarayana sir said was systemic thinking, design thinking, project-based activities, along with your 2-skill strategy, may be the solution to what sir calls quality education. And I think that is very, very valid and very interesting for a lot of universities to emulate what sir has done. I think it was very, very important. The fun part of it was when Goel sir said, the neonomist, part of him, I thought was very interesting. He's a very eloquent person, a very, very senior person, very, very, renowned person. So we have no choice but to listen to what he says. So very valid what he said. A need-based society requires need-based activities and thoughts and strategies. I thought that was very, very important. And he talked about NENE. I suddenly coming from an IT background and coming from, armed forces background, I immediately put a name, a strategy to it. I call it the any model. And this is what Goel sir said, right? Need-based entrepreneurship and a need-based employability. So NENE, I thought was fantastic. And sir, with your permission, I am going to use this in multiple discussions with universities, but I will quote it as your strategy, right? That NENE model was very, very interesting. Sir talked about private universities not able to hire faculty. So that is a bang on problem. We do have faculty problem in this country. And I told you that gap is never going to match unless there's something substantially different that we do. Language communication, which sir touched upon, the NAWM approach that sir has designed, students should take, it's one thing is to give solution to students, right? But it's also the other side. The acceptance of these innovative solutions by students is another aspect that we should consider, not just implementing an innovative solution, also the acceptability. And that's the only thing which can create, deliver the output and thus the outcome, right? Shrihari sir talked very eloquently about active learners. I thought it was very important. I would like to repeat what sir said, a very important point. Enabling students to be part of the society is what education should do. And many of us in the education, and I'm an education, and as guilty as all of us are, we forget that at times. Enabling students to be part of the society is what education should be doing. And very, very importantly, quoting gods must be crazy, right? Sir said, more complex our society is, more complex it's going to be to enable them to be ready for the society, which essentially means, ergo, education is going to be complex and it'll continue being complex moment societies continue to be complex. I thought that was very, very interesting, sir. Thank you so much. I'd like to really thank, sir, thank you so much for that. I'd like to really thank everybody. I think Satyanarayana sir wants to say something.
Just a quick couple of points. Sorry, Evan. So I think I again fully confer with Professor Srihari, what you have mentioned, Professor Mudgal, Professor Pramod, or even Professor Goel. And see, I only highlighted strategy and accessibility of quality education, but all the points everybody mentioned actually goes together. In the strategy itself, it is a value creation. And I think the biggest guilty person today is the government by defining very subsidized fee. So because he has defined a subsidized fee, people don't even understand the value of the degree they get. That's why they get a degree and go and loot around, or loiter around. So but then I didn't want to talk about those things. Therefore, I said that we have to use the strategy to create value through research, but leveraging experiential learning and strategic enabling of faculty to do research through every assignment, every project. And unfortunately, you see, the Indian industry is not paying anything to Indian academics. Today, it is real zero investment from them for the ROI compared to say other. Of course, everybody would say we pay a 2% cess. That's a huge number by itself. I'll not go into it. But otherwise, per se, as a direct engagement, every local industry, I think many times we have spoken earlier in other forums. See, Ireland, Israel, Taiwan, Singapore, Korea, they do not have shortage of skilled people. Cutting edge technology comes with engagement with local education system, irrespective of the quality of the college. So when we said we bring in this research, is teacher has to create that value and invite those people. So the owners, and to enable them, we need to excite the education to be teacher centric, but without creating value, nothing happens. I didn't want to talk about the current value because very wrongly, erroneous education values have been defined and everything is subsidized that nobody knows what is the value of the current education. So, but without value, nothing happens. And therefore value has to be created, but accessibility to the student is mandatory, because across the globe, the best of countries, it's real free education, higher education, because it is subsidized and enabled through, as Professor Srihari mentioned, the industries have to invest. Then the teacher has to create that value for the industry to come into the system, because nobody has time for fools. If I don't have capability, I don't showcase, I can do. And that is where my assignment projects have to be designed to make sure I create value out of it, to excite the industry to come and participate in it, start from small value and grow to higher value. And that is where, again, as we said earlier, as you also mentioned, the strategic thinking of how do I link things to my local context, regional context to national and international context, and even say bring in international students, because today India is the crucible, whether it is health, whether it is business, whether it is environment. See, we have all genetic makeup people in this country. We have all the environmental conditions in this country. If you have to talk of circular economy, sustainability, we have all forms of business environment today, and the most viable, frugal innovations also happening. So therefore, we have the opportunity, but the education has to teach the lead from to know, or parroting education to knowledge. Yes, the moment I became a university, I am a knowledge creator, comprehensor, and disseminator or advocacy enabling person, and not just advocacy, because so far we have been only doing advocacy. So therefore, the strategic planning with all of this linked, and every point, everybody, so without bringing that value, nothing happens. But we are not in a position to define, and government, again, you see, so far all the government has done is, even it has substituted its budget through research planning and then calling it as grant to only government institute. So nobody talks about it, because the grants are only for the government institute. It's a substitution of their budget planning, which ideally should have come upfront, and then say, oh, 2 crore, fisted for only central universities. It should have already given them those equipment as mandatory budget. So we are not therefore talking and therefore discriminating private and budget and faculties. Even the government institutions have the largest faculty shortage. As per they have unlimited budget planning, and there is no viable sustainable plan or returnable investment, and still they can hire, and they still have, as per the requirement, bigger shortage of faculty. So anything talking of private, public, discrimination, I honestly don't believe. We are all substandard because we don't figure in the top 200 in the world. When we put an exponential graph, everybody comes in this bottom line. Whether I am in 3,000, whether I am in 500, or whether I am 10,000, in the exponential bottom, I come at the same bottom line. I'm nearly equal. So that seriously, our education needs not optimization, but transformational change, or in words of Professor Mashel, not just leapfrog, but actually pole vault. And that is the opportunity that we have. It is no point simply, the cat calling, the kettle calling or the sort of kettle black or something like that. So each of us are as good and as bad. We need to transform, but at the same time, we cannot forget it has to be accessible, but the accessibility has to mandatorily come from creating value through strategic planning, is what I just thought as an additional point I want to clarify. Thanks again for having me. It's wonderful listening to everybody, and I'm sure we'll have many more such discussions and learn more from each other. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, sir. I will hand it over back to Barka now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I would like to thank every panel member for giving us their valuable time and making this discussion a great success. So I'm very much grateful for our moderator, Dr. Sujay sir, as well, for moderating this roundtable discussion brilliantly. Thank you so much, sir. I hope today's discussion on this topic will definitely help our audience to learn and implement these thoughts into the practical life. Thank you, everyone, once again.
Thank you, Bhargav. Thank you, everyone, sir. Thank you, Satyanarayana, sir. Thank you, Naik, sir. Thank you, Rakesh, sir. Also, sir, I would like to add on over here that we will be publishing this this edited video over the channel, YouTube channel, and other platforms also, for the maximum reach. And we'll update you about that, sir.
Nice interacting, everybody. Thank you so much.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.